Right, back to lockdown workshop again. Part two of the on one teardown. Well, actually, it's part three because I think part one ended up being two parts. So this is part three. So we're just cleaning up the bits now and assembling them all. One of the things I've got to do is address some of the surface damage. So the gel coat has been knocked off. The chain got trapped. This a couple of years ago now. The train got trapped behind the crank arm when I was on a downhill section and couldn't exactly stop, and it did quite a bit of damage. I didn't realise there's so much damage to here. The fiberglass looks intact underneath. That's fine. I've started to chisel out and clean up the edges. I'm going to fill this. I had looked at sending it off and getting it done at a frame touch-up place, but they wanted 800 quid to do it. The frame, to get another carbon frame would cost me the same. So there's a bit of sentimental value, but not to that amount. So I'm just going to touch up the areas where I've got chips just to protect the carbon fibre underneath, and then we'll see how we go. So we'll continue to chisel this out a bit. So we're just taking off the edge of the feathering it out. You get the drift. I'll bring you back when I've done some more of that. I'm just going to make sure there's no bits that are going to chip off when I put the filler in. We'll use a two-part filler as well. So that's similar to the gel coat. It'll be a fine fiberglass finish, and then what we'll do is we'll just touch it up with some normal black paint. You won't see this in. In fact, I won't even spray it because there's a risk I'll get overspray. And I'll just touch it up with a paintbrush and then probably put some clear lacquer over the top of it just to protect it. I've got some clear lacquer. The frames, it's taken a beating, but it's still intact. We've got the same to do around that area there, so I've just got to clean that out. The only problem is it is very close to that decal, and these are painted in. They're not stickers. So we'll see how we go with that. That is pretty much the only damage on the frame. The frame does need a deep clean and a degrease. So we'll see how we go. Bring it back. So we've cleaned out the edges a bit of that scratch. I'm still not convinced I'm not going to miss the logo there, so we might have to put a bit of masking tape on that just to protect it. I'm sure I've got some somewhere. If not, I shall have to be digging in the house. Yeah, it must be in the house. We'll find that, dig that out. We'll put some masking tape on it, and we'll just get some filler up that hole. See how we go. Are we recording again? Right, I did forget to mention I'm using P38, which is a two-part filler. It's a golf ball size of filler to a pea size of hardener. Mix it well in, and then get it on. It's standard fiberglass style filler. Should be fine for what we're doing here. I mean, all I'm trying to do is just seal it and build up the area a bit. Right, so the filler's on there. It's not supposed to look pretty. I've gone a bit over onto the sticker there, so we'll just clear that out of the way, so we don't have to sand onto that. Doesn't look so bad on the other side either. So that's okay. So we just got to let it set off now. Try and prop that up so it's not going to rest on the other bit that I'm doing around the other side. So just leave that. Its setting time's about an hour, I think. So we'll come back and sand that on that back then and then touch it up. For the touch up wise, I did contact the frame manufacturers, which is Planet X, in case you don't know the history with On One, and they don't know what the colour was. And I will quote, it's some Chinese colour. We don't know what it was. Even though I thought orange was their logo at one point, but well, they were as helpful as they could be, I guess. They are slightly different owners. I think it is one of the block standard Pantone colours, so I'm kind of hoping that this orange is near enough. So this is a touch-up kit for bikes. It was relatively cheap from Amazon, and the idea is that you get your colours and you mix it in and you can dab it on, and then we see how good they can go. If it needs to go slightly darker, we'll probably add a little bit of a red to it, maybe a little bit of black, and maybe get that colour down a bit. It might be okay. The thing is as well, they tend to dry darker, these paints, than what they look like when they're wet. So what we might have to do is just put a dab on, and see what colour it looks like when it comes out. Don't even know how these work. Do you know what? That's probably not a million miles away. A little bit light. See what it dries like. I'll put a bit on the white, and then what I might do is drop a bit on the black colour as well, and then see what they compare like. And then we'll see. And then what we'll do is, like I said, we can bring it up, bring it down by using red and black. I've got some normal black gloss enamel style paint that I can use to touch up that, and I'll paint that on rather than spray it on. I don't think I've got any gloss black, and then we'll see it, because like I said, that's going to be hidden behind the chain stay, and we'll see how we go. It's just to save it. The bike at some point will, because it's a carbon frame, it's only got a finite lifespan. But I'd just rather not replace it now. I've got a bit of a soft spot for this bike, and I have had a look to see if I can get another frame. But to be honest, even if I bought a frame, it'd be second hand, and it's more than likely got the same damage, or I don't know the history on it. I know the history of this frame, and I know it's been absolutely abused. I'll be honest. I'm hoping if I get a bit of T-cut on it as well, I can bring out some of these other bits. It is pretty much scruffed and scuffed all over, but it's a mountain bike. If it doesn't look like that, you're not riding it, right? You might as well bought a flipping hybrid or an e-bike. Oh, sorry, I got into the whole e-bike thing. But you know what I mean. They're there to be ridden, mountain bikes, and they're there to be abused. And if you're not, then you probably need to consider why you bought a mountain bike in the first place. Right, bring you back when I've got something else interesting to show you. Right, might as well show you these anyway. I did decide to order some more pulleys, because those ceramic hybrid pulleys I've had on are looking pretty tired. So I've got a set of pulleys. They're worth having them in stock if I decide not to use them anyway. They are Ultegra XT pulleys. They work with either or, so they're not too bad. This is for a surprise for later. That's something that I also need for the surprise for later. I'm going to have an experiment, which we'll make a whole session on that one. That's not mine, that was from another bike. One of the discs has turned up. The most of the Shimano parts are coming from Germany now. There doesn't seem to be anybody in the UK that's got any stock, so I've got a nice brand new replacement. That's the front one, and they are also for the surprise. That was given to me, and I picked that one up it was relatively cheap for a bit of an experiment. What am I waiting for still? So I'm waiting for the other one of them, the 160. I've got a chain in store for it. The axle, I'm missing the axle. So there's all the bits of the axle. I did actually manage to get a complete unit, so the whole piece, everything that's there, for £13, which I thought was pretty good. So hopefully all we've got to do is just swap it all out, and all will be good, and it'll go straight in the wheel. Nobody's bought them yet. They're for sale if you want them. This one, because this was the one we had the problem with, if you remember, sorting out the freewheel, but that's all tidied up and running nicely again now, and fortunately no damage to the ball races on the inside of there. And the same there. I do think you can get these ball races out because these hubs are convertible, or they are a dual purpose hub. So if you can knock that middle bit out, you can replace that cup. But anyway, saved wheels, hopefully. We'll see. I have mixed success with these recently, but bringing them back. When I don't know whether you got away with more when you were younger, but all the wheels were like this. And when I think of some of the abuse and the state some of these cups were in when we put them back together, and the bikes ran forever. But nowadays, if these aren't quite right, it feels like an absolute bag of spanners when you ride in them. I think maybe we've just got used to nice, smooth running wheels. Anyway, enough waffle, done. Probably can't see that very well because the light's in behind it. It's okay actually. Got the filler in, got it sanded down. It's not 100% smooth, but it's not an easy area to get to. I can see a little ridge, but you won't see that. I've decided to use spray paint because I had a big can of it. It is satin, so I'll have to put a gloss coat over the top, but I'm pretty sure the frame's got a gloss coat on it, a lacquer coat on it anyway. Clear coat. So we'll stick a clear coat over it, and then we'll T-cut it back to feather it in, so you won't see it. So look at the other repair. That's the other one. That's okay as well. It's not perfect. It's got a little indentation in it, but I'll probably build that up with the paint. And I've just smeared my finger across it. Actually, that's not a million miles away. So that's the orange as it comes out. You can see a little blob there. I don't know if you can focus on that. And that's smeared across a bit. It's a little bit more orangey than the frame is. So I think if I mix in a tiny bit of red, we'll not be a million miles away from it. And we'll see how we go. It did go a little bit into that, so I'm going to try and touch up the edge of that logo, but at the end of the day, it was just there just to stop water and muck from getting under the paint and making it worse, because it was getting worse. The paint was lifting off. So that will be fine. Like I said, the frame's, it's seen better days. But it will ride again. It's structurally sound anyway. Cool. Bring you back when there's something else to say. With that actually, because that was quite a big chunk. It was about that big. So that's touched up rather nice. That there's a bit. I've feathered it in a bit once I took the tape off, and then once it's hardened up, we'll get some T-cut on there and have a look at that. Let's look at the other bit. I've got a good colour match here, but it's a little bit. You can see there's a slight. It's not flat, but it was never going to be good, that, considering where it was. So I'm pleased with that. It's a good, like I said, it's a good colour match. Again, we'll let it solid up, and then I'll run across it with some T-cut and try and polish the whole area up. And you never know, you might not see it, because the overpaint, when I've painted across, I've done that on purpose. So when you T-cut it out, it gradually moves it back to the middle. But you can see the filler wasn't brilliant, but I didn't go any further with the filler because I was starting to sand away the paintwork on the decal. And I was coming a bit close to this line down here, and I didn't want to have to start painting in a straight line, because this is all paint. It's not a, you know, it will rather keep it small area of not quite good than have a bigger area of less bad, if that makes sense. No, quite pleased with that. So just needs cleaning up. That needs to set off now. So once that's set, I'll take a day or so to set. And we've got a big visitor. Come on out, you go, you beast. Go on, mush.